This is the plaintiff, Jerry Rosenstein. He says he brought his beloved dog, Stella, to the defendant's pet grooming establishment, and the inept groomer broke his dog's leg. That's right, he brought in a perfectly healthy dog, and now Stella has a 50-50 chance of being permanently crippled, according to his vet. The defendant refuses to give him his insurance information and refuses to pay the $4,795 in vet bills, so he's suing. These are the defendants, Jessica and Daniel Gonzalez. Jessica says it turns out the plaintiff's dog is vicious. Stella lunged at them to bite them when they tried to remove her from her cage, and she unfortunately fell and hit the floor and broke her leg. Since the dog attacked, they're sorry, but they can't be responsible for the fall that caused the broken leg, and they owe nothing. They're accused of a doggy disaster.
All parties, please raise your right hands.
Welcome back to the People's Court. Next case on the docket, the plaintiff brought his dog to the defendant groomer, and the guy let the dog fall, broke its leg. But the defendants say the dog is vicious, and the dog attacked, fell, and that's how he broke his leg. It's the case of break a leg.
Thank you, Douglas. Jerry Rosenstein?
Yes.
Okay, you are suing, you don't want us to use the name of the company, correct?
Correct.
Okay, Jessica Gonzalez and Daniel Gonzalez?
Correct.
For $4,795 for injuries that you say happened to your dog that was their fault. Tell me what happened.
Well, on December 24th of last year, I felt Stella needed a grooming, so I took her to...
What kind of dog is Stella?
Stella is a Cairn Terrier Schnauzer mix.
Okay.
Toto was a Cairn Terrier.
Okay, I got Toto in the head. Got it, okay. And so what happens?
At first, I realized that there was a change in management. I had been there before. The former manager wasn't there. But I decided to leave her with the new people.
Okay. Was it a change of ownership or management?
Change of ownership.
Ownership, all right. Go ahead.
When I went home, there was a call from Mrs. Gonzalez.
Okay.
And she said there had been an accident and that Mr. Gonzalez had taken Stella to an emergency hospital in Tamarack, Florida.
Okay. Let's put a pin on this and you tell me, what was it that happened?
When I went to gently grab the dog from him, she went to nip at me, and I asked him, I said, "Oh, are you a biter?" And he said, "No." And then I asked him, "Is she cage shy?" And he said, "No, that she's been used to being crated." So I took the dog, and she seemed a little nervous. Gave the dog to the bather, and that's when I heard the ow, 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 and then the dog went and bit the bather.
Bit the bather.
Twice.
Did the bather have gloves on?
No, he did not.
Okay.
We have pictures.
Did the bather drop the dog?
No, he did not.
No.
So what happened to the dog?
Well, Your Honor, the bather put the dog in the kennel as we normally do, and he said he wasn't going to get the dog out because it bit him.
Okay.
So then I went and,
Okay.
I tried to get the dog out with a towel.
Okay.
And I opened the cage door, the kennel door, and it lunged at me with teeth.
Okay.
So I tried to grab it, and I couldn't grab it.
Wait, why are you going like this?
Because I went like this to grab it, and it went
Wait,
this
how
way.
did that? Wait, hold on. You're in control of the door. So
The door-
you're in control of the door,
the door
and
is here.
you already know there's a problem because according to you, your employee told you there was a problem.
Absolutely.
So you're opening the door.
It lunged towards me with teeth.
But doesn't it lunge to the towel because you have the towel close enough where there's no room
Well,
for
that
the
was
dog
thing.
to actually
That was
jump
the
out
thing.
and break a leg?
That was the thing. It went right when I tried to close my arms as it lunged to try to grab it, and
Yeah.
I didn't.
So you
make
didn't
it.
catch the
I
dog? You
couldn't
were far
catch
enough
it.
away where catching was the, why wouldn't your towel be closer to the door? Especially, why is the crate so high? Why isn't it? Because they're stacked?
Yeah,
Yeah,
they're stacked.
All right, so then what happens? The dog goes flying.
As soon as it hit the ground, it broke its leg.
Right. So you did the right thing and immediately went to the veterinarian.
Absolutely.
And you have something that you have people sign beforehand, right?
Yes.
A release, exactly.
Okay. Let me see your release.
So if the dog gets out of the cage, and suppose it's aggressive, falls to the ground, breaks its leg, is the groomer responsible?
Yes, I think they are responsible.
Why?
Because they should have proper equipment so the dog cannot get out, because then it would be their fault causing the dog's injury.
True enough, but you have to get the dog out to groom it, right?
Yeah, but having two dogs are so unpredictable. Anything can happen, and our society is litigious enough. I say, don't hang them high.
Don't hang him high. What do you say?
I think they need to have restraints in place. This is their business. They should have a procedure, protocol.
The dog could hang himself with a restraint.
But they can also watch that.
Fair enough. Going inside the courtroom.
Does your release give you the authority to take? I mean, I assume it does.
Yes,
in
it
an emergency
does.
situation,
Absolutely.
just like my children's school gives them the authority to take.
Right, correct.
All right. And what ended up being wrong with the dog? What had happened?
Well, both bones in the lower leg were broken.
So, what was the necessary medical care for the dog?
The emergency vet, Dr. Kaiser, told me that he had stabilized it, but that if he set the bones, chances are she would be crippled for the rest of her life. And he recommended that I take her home with medications for pain and so forth, make an appointment at a specialty animal hospital in Cooper City, Florida, that could take care of it properly.
Okay.
So I did. I took her home, made an appointment with that hospital. The vet gave me, he looked at the x-rays provided by the emergency hospital, and then he gave me an estimate, a lower and a higher estimate. It was running between $3,000 and $4,000 to repair.
And how were they going to repair it?
Well, they would do surgery to open it up and put in a metal plate and some wires. The larger bone, the ulna, was not only broken in two, but a piece was broken off of it. And that's one of the things that made it so complicated.
Okay. Do you have the reports from the surgery?
Yes, I do.
May I see it?
Yes.
And also all the bills that you're suing for. All right. So let me hear from you why you feel that you would not be responsible for, it's an accident, okay? Nobody meant for that to happen. There's no question about that. But, people can still be responsible for accidents. So why is it that you feel that you are not responsible for what occurred?
Because of the release that we have him sign.
Okay. I agree to inform your company prior to grooming if the dog has ever bitten any human or another dog or has any aggressive tendencies whatsoever.
Right.
Is that what you're referring to?
That's part of it. And then it goes on and it says that.
I affirm that I am the rightful legal owner. Okay, so what about this waives liability for this kind of situation? I mean, all it says is he grants you guys permission to do whatever you feel is appropriate for the well-being of the dog, and in its sole discretion, whether veterinary care is warranted, he agrees to pay all the associated fees and costs. Okay, that's fine, but that's not if it's your fault. And that's what I'm looking at here. If my dog's veterinarian is not readily accessible, then the company will not be responsible for any conditions or problems discovered during grooming. As a result, like this is like you're grooming and you discover something. This isn't like stuff that, all right. Should veterinary care be necessary as a result of our services, then we must be notified within 48 hours of such care. Well, that doesn't apply because you're the ones who are giving the care, and he was in contact with you the whole time. Reimbursement will be at our discretion. Well, you can put that somewhere, but unless he's waiving liability, you can't just say, I'll decide if I'm liable, because that's what judges are for. I thought you were referring to, that you felt that the dog was an aggressive dog and that they didn't notify you.
Well, that is part of it.
Okay, was this an aggressive dog?
Not at all.
Had the dog ever bitten anybody?
No.
That's usually the way this goes, by the way. So unless you have evidence of that, then you can't say he failed to disclose as required.
Well, the dog bit, so it was obviously aggressive.
Yeah, no, that's not how it works, though. Unless you find that there's, evidence by police reports or something else of a prior bite, or another groomer, or in your care it's happened, and so about, that's kind of hard for your side to rely on. And I know that you were kind of hoping that first paragraph releases you, but I don't think it does for something like this.
Your Honor, this is the card that he filled out, and on the bottom where he signed, it says, in the event of an emergency, I authorize this establishment to provide necessary treatment at my expense.
Oh, let me see that. Okay, you want me to read this as being stronger than the release form. In order to do that and to find this to be an absolute waiver of any liability under any circumstances, I would have to find that even if you're the one who creates the emergency, even if the negligence is you, in other words, it's not, you know, the pet all of a sudden went into seizures. There was a skittish pet, the pet was biting, it was on a tall, you know, up top, and you weren't close enough because you're still learning the business. It just doesn't do this. Not when the groomer creates the emergency. Yeah, it's not going to work. Show me all your bills, please. Is that in this binder? Jeez. Tell me about the mileage.
Well, Your Honor, the emergency hospital was over 30 miles from my home. So it was a 60-mile round trip. And I had to make
Is that the only one? Or is that the one you chose because you thought it was the best? Because you live in Broward. It's not like there's not emergency hospitals all around you. What are the laser
There is
treatments?
one much closer in Coral Springs.
Yeah.
And I called them to get an estimate, and their estimate was higher.
Can I see that? Can I see proof of that?
Well, it
Yes
was a
or
phone
no?
call, and
No,
I
don't
have
do
a
that.
note.
No,
I have a
no,
notation
okay.
in there.
So based on what I have heard, I am going to find you folks liable for $4,471.50, not for the $300 in mileage. We all live and learn. You know, you embarked on a new endeavor, and I'm sure that with every passing day, you learn things that will make you better and better. So I wish you folks good luck and an even speedier recovery for Stella.
Thank you.
Thank
That's
you.
your verdict.
So the plaintiff recovers $4,400 of the $4,700 in damages he was seeking. Mr. and Ms. Gonzalez, number one, how do you feel about the judge's verdict?
Well, I feel it was wrong.
I'm not surprised at that.
Yeah, well, obviously, you know, the gentleman signed a release and he signed a card that said that we weren't liable. But
She said that wasn't sufficient.
right, she said it wasn't sufficient. But
And
I don't agree.
In court, the judge.
I don't agree still.
Well, you
but
don't have
but
to
I'm happy.
agree.
I'm happy for the gentleman that you know, the Stella is okay.
I'm intrigued by one thing. Your groomer, the one who was bather, had a problem, you know, getting the dog out of the cage.
Mm-hmm.
He was growling. The dog fell, broke its leg, and then you had to deal with it to take it to a vet and another vet. How did the dog act when you went to do? Because normally when a dog's injured, they're more aggressive than normal.
It was very aggressive, and we tried to calm it down as best we could to you know, pick it up and nurture it to the emergency
Yeah,
room.
I just wondered because it never
It was
came up in the
tough.
court.
It was
I wondered
tough.
how you dealt with it.
It was
then.
tough. It was definitely tough.
All right. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Sorry, I hope you've learned something from
we
this
have.
whole
We
experience.
definitely have. Thank you,
Okay,
sir.
good enough. And Mr. Rosenstein, congratulations. You do get the bulk of your injury. You mentioned something about when you went to the specialist to repair your dog's leg. He gave you two estimates, a high estimate and a low estimate. How, as a pet owner, do you decide which estimate you want, the better treatment or the worse treatment, cheaper treatment? What'd you do?
Well, I didn't have a choice. The higher amount
Yeah.
would be if it took him longer or if there was more to it than he had estimated.
Oh, okay. That's what it was.
Yes.
All right, because I was worried. I thought, gee whiz, how does a pet owner, you know, worry about that? Well, look, everybody can sympathize with him. So sorry for the problem. Hope the dog does well. Okay?
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Congratulations, sir. Harvey, what do you think?
Well, you know, this guy's right in a way. I mean, the defendant did have reasonable courses of conduct that could have prevented the injury. And that will do it for this case. Litigants for the next case on the way into the courtroom right now.